And welcome back to another episode of Caffeinated Coaches. Bam.
Here, cheers.
Yeah, right as I did that, my phone said low battery mode. So that's fantastic.
Here we go.
So I mean, we got something new going. We've got a different app. We've got a video, maybe. I don't know. You're probably listening to this on the Spotify version, but man, we just had our Indiana State Clinic. So VP, how you think it went?
I think it went great, dude. I think we had four awesome speakers. Um, had a bunch of coaches come out, and I feel like everybody in the room got better in some way, shape, or form, man. I think it was pretty great.
No, it was fantastic. It was down in Mooresville. So we just kind of wanted to do a quick recap, and then also, say that Demarco and I really want to keep this podcast going. Caffeinated Coaches, as we talked about probably a couple episodes ago. Actually, when I was at your place, the lovely background that is yours. When I was at your place, and
Yeah.
we talked about kind of the different journey that I'm personally on, and working more on the health side right now and doing the online stuff, and also kind of branching out here or there. But it was cool to get back in a room with a lot of coaches. We had what was our last count? About 80?
Man, yeah, it was about 80 plus a little
Yeah.
bit over 80.
Yeah. So we had about 80 coaches in the 80 coaches plus vendors, a few vendors there, but uh fantastic. So we're going to dive into that a little bit and some takeaways that we had. And yeah, that'll be this episode.
Yeah.
All right. So it was at Mooresville High School. Long drive for me, not as much for you though, right?
Nah, 25 minutes. This was the most beautiful clinic I ever went to.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. That was a three plus for me, but that's okay. We had to keep it centrally located, keep those folks happy. But we started off with not only an awesome breakfast. So they have, what was that called? Like a power station bar or something?
Yeah. I can't remember the name. I was out doing the tickets, but everybody was talking about them. I mean, the thing that was pretty cool, like I'm not right outside doing the tickets, but all of the breakfast and everything was free. All the drinks, all the coffee, all the nutrition. I mean, like that was awesome. I mean,
Hmm.
if Mooresville, if and I didn't get a chance to talk with Jason about it, but like if that's what Mooresville's kids are getting every day, they are ahead of the curve, man. Like by
Yeah.
far. That's insane.
Yeah, for sure. It was really, really awesome. Like I said, they've been wanting to host. They were really excited and they were more than hospitable. Awesome, awesome place. The facility, freaking immaculate. And we were only one in the weight room part of it, but it attaches to the gym and the wrestling room, so they got the mats down and everything.
Yeah.
Um, and it, like I said, it was a great clinic. We started off with our girl Erin, right?
Yep. She was
Clips
awesome.
powerlifting. Absolutely. So, just kind of what we're going to do is kind of highlight each one of our presenters and just kind of give some takeaways from each of us. And we're just going to kind of go kind of as the clinic went, and as reflecting on my long drive back, I was thinking about, like, I was just very proud of not only all of our presenters, but also like when we just take a step back, and DeMarco and I were extremely intentional on like what we were trying to accomplish with it.
Hmm.
And I think it went really well in that we had presenters in a wide a range of topics, and different positions of where they are. And I just feel like that anybody that went to that really got something out of it. If you didn't get something from all four presenters, which I don't know why you went it, they all had amazing presentations, but you at least got something out of it.
Well, you had four different speakers, four different cultural backgrounds, firstly, let me say, but then also four different coaching backgrounds, right?
Yep.
Um Aaron kicked off the day. I mean, in I tried to put myself in Aaron's shoes, right? Like this was her first time being in that setting around a room full of high school strength coaches like that, right? So
Yep.
how does she help us step into her world, which is gymnastics, specifically youth gymnastics, right? And then take something away from it that we could readily apply the next day, right?
Hmm.
Um, and as you're listening to her speak, you're really digging and you're really digging, and you see some of the intensive plyo stuff, and if you're a coach, you recognize that, and you see all of what she has to offer. But um, I don't think it necessarily was like immediately something that she didn't know how to package it initially as something that we could take away right there in that moment. But when she got to the practical part of it,
Hmm.
I thought she was top tier. Like when we got to the practical part of it and she said, "Okay, hey, here's how we're going to take you guys through a very quick basic progression into a handstand." And she took four random coaches and she'd never worked with before, anything like that. Like, sure, we might have all had athletic backgrounds or didn't. We don't know. But by the like, we were 5 minutes in to a very rapid fire progression there, and we were all four of us. I'd never done a handstand before that day. But by the end of that 5 minute progression, I was able to hold it for a seven count, right? Like that was to me immediately like, okay, I can see how I can take this, give it to a high school kid right away, and I can see how it would benefit us. I mean, I by the time we got through that progression, my heart rate was up, temperature was elevated. I felt ready to go, man. And this was just one simple progression. So I feel like Aaron more than delivered with everything she had to do.
Absolutely. And you look at like, yeah, she gave us some stuff that, by the way, it's going to end up in your program. Um, if if you check my stories today, I had Gracie at the facility, and after doing we did max effort overhead presses with her today, and
Mhm.
her superset was handstands.
Also,
So,
like
I
awesome,
mean,
but
and it
like
worked, and it was awesome.
that's a tool like that, as simple as it seems, like you and I were not thinking on that page before that presentation, right? And I know a
Nope.
number of other coaches in that room were not thinking on that page. I talked with, oh goodness, Paul Townsend, and he was like, dude, that's something that I can take away right then and there and take back to and take right way back to his kids. And it was just like, dude, yeah, like the Aaron was awesome.
Yeah. And something that's not even gymnastics related that she said that I really, really liked was when someone was making a mistake, she did not call anyone out. She said, what was it? Be more mindful of, let's make sure that we have like our back, it was the back leg extended. I remember her saying like the cue. I don't remember exactly how she phrased it, but
Yeah,
she was basically saying she's not going to point one particular or say, hey, you need to, she's going to address the group. Hey, someone needs to do this. And whether you're not really saying, hey, find the person, it's okay, now we all got to think about it,
yeah.
and you saw everyone's intention. And that's something we've always been big on this podcast, and you and I as coaches, is the intent matters. VBT is cool, can show you the number of the speed intent even when someone's a little cooked like they were this weekend. Yeah, I'm talking about you. uh
It's fun.
but the intent matters, and I took that as like just I'm talking top level coaching tier. Like those are the things, those are the little hidden nuggets that I'm like, that's what makes, because I've always known she's an amazing coach. When you meet her and you see her athletes and how she interacts, whether she's um, hosting an event or not, when you see, you can't fake genuineness, right?
Right.
And real recognize real. So as soon as we recognize her, it's like, no, she's
She's a
a
coach. Like
dang, yes, she's a coach. There's no
she
other
is a
word.
coach. And
Hmm.
the thing was like Aaron might not have necessarily started off with a barbell, like some of
Hmm.
us, right? But Aaron, if you give her a week to learn a few programming principles, if you give her a month to work with a certain group of kids and say, hey, I want them to be able to do this by the end of this month, and you tell her you've got to use the barbell as a tool, Aaron will get it done, and Aaron will get it done better than a lot of strength coaches I know, man. Aaron is a coach and
Yep.
a skill acquisition from point A to B. I mean, she's great, man.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I mean, there's probably a lot of high school coaches that are lucky she didn't choose like football or basketball or something like that, 'cause she'd
Yeah,
whoop you.
yeah,
She chose gymnastics and she travels the whole country whooping people with
yeah.
her folks. I mean, that's just the bottom line. It's like, And I think I'm proud of the family as well. I'm proud of the family of someone was up on stage. They didn't, maybe they did, maybe they don't. I don't know how well known Erin is within different circles. Once again, for me, she's someone that I'm like, I mean, I know her. I've gotten to know her. I appreciate her as a friend and a colleague. That's how I look at her. She's an amazing person. Um, but you see she goes up on that stage and you just see these people and you're looking at someone that wears youth size shoes. Sorry, Aaron, I had to call you out. Do you know her feet are that small? She wears kid size shoes.
That
um
has to be a gymnast thing.
that's a gymnast thing, yeah. But see, so she's got her, awesome bright glasses, her bedazzled and glittered, polo, bringing
Yeah.
her energy that she has. Um, and it was just like you could see she was focused too. Like before it
Yeah.
all, she was just kind of sitting in her chair by herself. But what I see when I see that is not only is that a coach, that's a former athlete right there. That's
Yeah.
somebody getting in their mindset like, I'm going to go up there. I'm walking into the unknown. I don't care. I'm going to dominate and I'm going to show what I can do and present myself in a great way. And I thought what a great way to kick it off. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and that, I mean, she's been a competitive power lifter, right? So it's not like she was completely
Yep.
foreign to a barbell. But I mean, everything she did in bridging it, man, I mean, I just keep thinking back to that practical piece.
hmm
The last 20 minutes of her segment were, I thought, some of the most valuable of the day. So yeah,
hmm
great job.
And
Great
it, I
job.
mean, it's hard to get volunteers in that room, as we'll talk about later when we got to the trivia portion. It's like
Okay.
pulling teeth sometimes with some of these coaches. I tell you what. But we get done with that, right? And I'm telling you, the flow that we designed for this was fantastic, and it helps to have such a great space and to have such great members and sponsors. Without having all those sponsors there, we probably can't handle what all we handled, but
Right.
we got right into like a little family session. So like as we kind of move apart, we had Bewley up there talking about Critical Reload, who ends up giving away a TV at the raffle at the end. um
Yeah.
but we had Bewley up there talking. They have Elite Form in their room, so an Elite Form vendor and representative was there, and Bram Wood also, he was our next presenter. He weaved that into his presentation because he came from Mooresville before he went to Mount Vernon.
Yeah.
But then he went up there, and like I said, we had a little bit for everybody. And there was a good pocket of people that stuck around with Bram after he presented and wanted to keep on hearing all that stuff that for some of us, admittedly, it was like,
Hey,
ooh, ooh.
Bram took I Bram took that his opportunity to present, and he said it. He said, "Hey, just take the red pill with me for here for a little bit, right?" I mean, he said it off drip. And for 75 minutes, Bram went as hard as I have ever seen a presenter go. Like I am going to give them everything today, right now. And
Right.
I mean that in the best ways, because like they're like flat out, there were times where I'm listening to Bram and I am lost. I'm like, okay, but I am taking a picture of the resources that you said, and I am going to walk myself back to square one, and I'll start this over on my own time. Like
hmm
that was me. But then, and picking up eventually, here's the cool thing that I found in Bram's presentation was like he started to catch his flow and realize like, all right, these 6 or 7 guys I'm going to talk to after this because they've kept up with every piece of this, and I'm going to give them everything I can. The other 70 of you, here is here is the simple version. Here's what I'm trying to get across to you.
Right.
And
Right.
but it was so, I mean, it really was like outside the box thinking, right? Like he sat up there and he didn't demonize any one movement. He didn't demonize any one exercise. He didn't demonize any one method or methodology of coaching, right?
hmm
But he was like, here's something different that I feel like could be a benefit to more coaches, more athletes across different sports. Why? And the way he presented it, it was kind of, why would we take an athlete away from what it is they do naturally? Here's how we can use the tools that we have available to us to help them be better at whatever their superpower is. That is the non-science version of Brand's
Right.
presentation.
Well, he was showing the shapes, and he had pictures of athletes that represented those shapes and talked about how specifically those individuals are going to be able to move. And
Hmm.
it was definitely interesting, especially like talking about the water bottle. I like that visual, the water bottle shaking and how things move within
When
it.
when he said and I forget where he quoted it from, but he was like, humans follow the laws of hydrodynamics more so than they follow the laws of um pulleys and levers.
Hmm.
And I really had to bite. I was like, when we're talking about live bodies, this makes sense.
Yep. Yep.
At least it don't, I can't throw everything I've ever learned out the window, but I gotta read more into that. I gotta look more into that. He piqued my
Hmm.
interest. So,
Yeah.
um, and I think that was his goal.
Hmm.
I think that was his goal. Bram was great.
Yeah. And then one more piece that I took from him was he, like you said, he wasn't demonizing any one thing. He wasn't saying this movement's necessarily bad, but let's talk about just for a smidgen, powerlifting. I know if Adam's listening, he hates when we talk about it, but I think he's just jealous personally. But when you come back for that back squat and you're tightening everything, because that's the specific point he talked about. It's like when you're packing, and Bram's jacked, by the way.
Yeah.
My goodness, can that boy fill a shirt out? But when you're packing all that back there and getting tight and rigid, like you're supposed to safely move the bar,
Hmm.
to and he's not saying don't do that, he's saying after that let's do something to move around. And I took that, and that was like my one big takeaway from that was like, that's not wrong.
Right.
I like that because it's accurate. I've said that to a lot of athletes, like when you go to lift heavy weight, you do have to brace, you have to be rigid, you have to be tight. um but to be really, really good at those other sports, the reason you're so good at those other sports is that you're fluid, you can move.
Mhm.
So if we're practicing getting everything's tight to take advantage of what's going to happen there, then we need to follow that up with something. That was something that I kind of took from that. I was like, that mix it in with the gymnastics. I'm sitting here like turning these two things into my brain with just the first two presenters.
Well, it took me kind of back to like my very, very brief time collegiately, right? Interning and then being
Hmm.
a GA. It was like when you have a 7-day week to work with for a lot of those athletes at that level,
Right.
you can build in full days that are just that, right?
Right.
Um, but he's talking about in the moment of the session as it goes in a 45 or 60 or 80-minute window. He's, hey, here's how we do it. Here's how we get the restoration piece back in. And then from there, right, if we got to build another day in, we can do that. But
Hmm.
here's how we do it on the fly with a little bit of time that we have so that we're not completely um, just leaving this athlete kind of stuck more or less. I'm not, taking his words out of context, but kind of stuck more or less in the positions that we put them in throughout the day. Um, and I mean, when you tell me, I'm like, okay, so we can get output from a kid. We can get the small adaptation. That was another piece that I took away from him. He said, hey, we are seeking the smallest adaptations and maximal recovery, right? We can get the
Hmm.
small adaptations that we're looking for from these athletes, but we can send them out to their sport, ready to go and not and at less of a risk, of injury if we take the time and slow cook this thing even more, so to speak, right?
Right.
Um,
Right.
that's really what I got away from Brain.
Yeah. No, and fantastic job. And then out of his, we went and we had another little break as we're getting ready for lunch. And we had Emmett from Output Sports,
Yeah,
another awesome sponsor and vendor was there. And he had his device with him. He actually emailed me a few days before that, and I sent it to Jason, and I was like, "Hey, we're going to have some time for him to come out," and he put the device on the bar and asked for a volunteer and was speaking through and showing what all things that they provide.
yeah. That was,
So,
and it again took another volunteer from another coach, and really just like you said, shout out to the family real quick. You guys stepped up. You guys made this thing fluid. I mean, Oh my God. All the way from the trivia, from Aaron's presentation, you guys really stepped up, and you guys don't know how much you made the day of some of those presenters and vendors. You know, gave them an opportunity to showcase what it was they had to bring. So really awesome there, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Then the lunch was fantastic. Little local barbecue joint that Jason got for us. So we're sitting there, and then this is where you and I we did a lot of thinking on as far as okay, how are we going to set this up? We both already knew we were putting Matt Cates last.
Yeah.
We figured if we put him last, he'll actually stay for a whole event. Sorry, I had to throw that out there. I'm just poking the bear. I can just hear him now. Scott. Um,
We love you, Crates.
but it- most events, people peace out late or early rather. You know what I'm saying? They don't stay the whole time. And if you're gonna bookend it with the National Coach of the Year, I'm
Yeah.
feeling we're gonna have some people stay. But if we're gonna provide that after a heavy barbecue lunch, we got to wake them up.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we got to wake them up. So
Yeah.
what do you do to wake them up?
You
Mr.
get in that
PBO
third presenter,
himself.
you give him a little PVO. Give him a little PVO.
Hmm. And Chris
Smith.
delivered.
He just,
Yeesh.
God
Man,
bless C. Smith. I mean, you,
I think same as Aaron. It took him a few minutes to like fill out his crowd. I
and
think
again,
once he filled it out.
and Chris, when you see this man, you know what I'm saying, blow my phone up if I'm speaking out of turn here, man. But this was his first speaking experience, right? And when you step
Hmm.
on stage in front of a room of high school strength coaches, right? Okay, how do I give them something of value that they haven't either A, haven't heard a million times, or if they have heard a million times, what am I going to reaffirm, right? But
Hmm.
how do I present it in a way that isn't just a drag and it isn't just the same presentation they've heard over and over and over, right? And that was his entire presentation. It was culture, energy, the PVOA, right? Like that was, and I mean, he talked about his experiences. I thought it was cool how he talked about his experiences as a player, how that led him into his coaching style, his coaching philosophies, the opportunities he's
Yep.
had. But the growth he's seen at both of the programs he's been at in Arsenal Tech and now Marion, that program is growing and continue to go places. So what Chris did, I mean, for 75 minutes, he just brought a ton of energy, man. And he really he posed some thought provoking questions. Like if you're not owning the room when you walk in and with your energy, if you're not asking certain questions of yourself every day, then why are we really there? If you're not gonna hold yourself accountable to the energy that you say you want from
Hmm.
the kids, if you're not gonna reciprocate that, or kickstart it at the very least, right? Like, why are we here?
Hmm. No, his presentation was. I I ended up I ended up calling him as I was driving home after we hung out for a little bit afterwards,
Yeah.
and mostly because he did mention that like he prefers not to text, right? He wants real human communication. And I just really appreciated what he was saying, but I also wanted to make sure that he understood that I understood what he was saying.
Mhm.
So I gave him a quick call, hopefully before his team was playing ball. And I just wanted to thank him for like a lot of the things he said really, really hit with me, especially right now with everything going on. And like, I ended up taking a picture like in the back of the room because like I was trying to take pictures for everything for socials and stuff like that, trying to do like director things. And then just found myself like without my notebook, but made my way to the front and just sat down. And I mean, I was leaning in the whole time. Like I was sitting next to Aaron. Aaron was sitting in the front, like listening as well. And it was, you talk about like the X's and O's and sets and reps and how it's so much more than that. And he
Mhm.
was giving very specific things that you can do, very specific ways to look at things. And I appreciated not only his truth, but his like rawness with it if
Yeah.
that makes sense. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
No, so one of the analogies he used was one that he shares with his kids. You know, he'll ask a kid. He said he'll ask the kid, you know, what's their emotional weather like today? You know, and he asked the coach. I believe it might have been Aaron.
It was
His
Aaron. It was Aaron. Yeah.
um, and I think Aaron's response was cloudy, and Chris was like, "Okay, is that cloudy with a chance of rain or cloudy with a chance of sunshine?" Right? He said because those are two completely different perspectives, right? One can elevate you, one can, you know, leave you where you are, kind of deal. And I'm like, okay, that right there, one is something that a coach can take away, like use the analogy or what have you. But like, it also just kind of reminded me, I'm like, all right, am I consciously aware and intentional of the energy that I'm bringing into the room around my kids every single day, you know? Um, and am I checking in with these kids to make sure, you know, because cloudy with a chance of rain, you know what I'm saying? I might pick and choose my spots with this kid this day on, you know, on the technical things we might fix, or maybe I'm not gonna say how hard I am on a kid, but on, you know, I might try to find more positive cues with them in a given moment or in a given day rather than pointing things out that are maybe mistakes or flaws that we got to fix, right? um
Hmm.
Cloudy with a chance of sunshine, you know what I'm saying? Okay, hey, let's go, let's get after it, let's see if I can get you there, let's see if we can get you to a 10, right? um you know, and let's just see how far we can push it, right? So it's I think when you I think when you really you have to get past the terminology and, like you said, the X's and O's of it, and really just get back to being feeling the energy of a room and actually coaching. Like, you can't do that
Hmm.
you can't do that from a textbook. And if you know Chris, you know what I'm saying, you know he's very much like, all right, cool, I got the textbook, I got the science of it, great, I'm gonna open that, crack that back open when I need it. Let's get into what's in front of us right here. He's very practical. He's very genuine. He's very raw. He's very hands on. That's Chris, um,
Hmm.
and he's the best version of himself in that way.
Right. And he takes pride in building it. Like at each spot he had, it's almost like he knew he was going to present on it like 6 years later, but he had like pictures of, okay, this is when it started, and I've got these few kids, and then this is COVID, and I've got these few kids, and then we built it, and oh, here was the first girl in class, and then here's how it grew to like 10 other kids, and like
Yep.
it was like the documenting of it that, you
Yep.
know, I don't even think of most of the time. It's like that just like it is what it is. Like he's just showing how he grew it from nothing. He basically grew two different programs from nothing,
The foresight for him to be able to
right?
have all of that is crazy. Like, he knew his opportunity
Hmm.
would come, and I'm excited to see what come next for him, because as he continues along his path, man, he's gonna change a lot of lives along the way too. It's Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah. And then we're basically wrapping up the clinic, right? I mean, he brought all that energy, and we take it right into something that we wanted to try a little trivia. So we just wanted to have a little fun, me and you, and you came up with it. The Family Feud, loved it, right? Goes with the theme family. I feel like other states are going to steal it, as they
Hey,
should.
if they do, we made the whole country better, man. We made the whole country better.
Hey, there it is. So that was that. Kevin Vanderbush started everything. DeMarco and Scott came in with Family Feud, and we just leveled up.
Yep. Now we got the whole country playing Family Feud.
But it was so I don't know, I don't remember how I saw that Bram had a ball down there, or maybe it was Emmett from Output had that ball down there. Maybe they
Yeah, the
both
med
used it. I
ball.
think they
Yeah.
both used it. Yeah. So I'm sitting there seeing it, and I'm like, there's a med ball right there. I was like, how are we going to buzzer? Oh, I'll just go get another med ball. So I
Yep.
went over to the side, grabbed another med ball, and I'm like, okay, first ball that hits the ground, that's your buzzer. Um, and so first couple people, I was just standing there. Then a couple coaches got smart. I think it was Chris and Nunn
Yep.
that they got into like a squat, and they were holding the ball like 2 inches from the ground. So then I had to lay down. I'm like watching, like, all right, which one hits first? And no, that was cool. But they missed some questions, by the way.
Look, all right. So we had, what
I
was it?
can't believe it
We
wasn't
had
100.
we had four prizes to give away. I had six questions loaded. I'm telling you right now. After they after they missed the
We
first
didn't
one or
have
two,
another one.
I was like, "Oh my goodness, somebody, we got to go 4 for 4 here," and we did.
Yep.
Look, the whole state of Indiana clutched up. Proud of our coaches. Proud
Yep.
of our family.
Yep.
Came what we
Because
had to
they didn't
do.
know that you did not have another one in the chamber. Like it was done. Like it's well, and it was ABC. So then like the one that I can't believe they didn't get was the Kevin Vanderbush one.
Yeah, you know, I what was the question?
I thought everyone in Indiana knew it.
It was what sport did Kevin Vanderbush represent the United States national team in? Options were
Hmm.
um weightlifting,
Hmm.
bobsleigh, and flat water kayaking, right? Which is flat water kayaking is
And
the
they went
answer. They
right.
I
They went
feel
weightlifting. Okay, I could see that with those biceps. Okay. Someone went weightlifting. And then I was like, ah, no, that's not it. So then we look over at the other guy and he's like, bobsledding? I'm like, what the
like
heck?
you're
In Indiana?
kidding. You're kidding.
Like, like in Indiana, you went with bobsledding? Like, dang, bro. That's
But
all
I'm gonna
right.
tell, like, honestly, the legend of Kevin Vanderbush is so wild. I'm like, if you told me, yeah, at one point he was really nice at bobsleigh too, I'm like, it's not hard to believe. So,
Just be like, yeah, that checks out. That checks
all
out.
right,
That was back in the '80s when apparently we had a lot of snow. I don't know.
he's
He
got
just
it.
grabbed a
I don't.
bobsled. He's
It
like, we're
tracks,
out. Actually, it's on ice, isn't it? Isn't bobsledding like through tubed ice?
bro. I don't know. I saw it, and I was like, I vaguely know what this is, and I feel like it's
And I
just
think almost every answer was C too, by the way, wasn't it?
yeah. I was up. I don't know,
Yeah,
like
because I
the
looked at you, I was like, is every answer C, bro? Like,
But I'm
stop
so
making them
glad
all
you said
C.
that. I'm so glad you said that because the way I had them listed in there, yes, every answer was C.
Uh,
So I had to start flipping the answers around on the fly. I'm so glad you said
See,
that.
that's me. I noticed patterns. I was like, with two questions in, I'm like, this. All right, he did. He put everything in C. Well, that was like when we were lining up for the picture. Hold on, I gotta say this monstrosity. This picture, you saw it had me fired up. So we gotta do the family picture, right?
Yeah.
And you know, a bunch of strength coaches, they don't really care for getting their picture taken. So we're sitting here like, hey, go in front of the screen. Apparently, half of them didn't know what a gosh darn screen was. So they were just making this giant line. I'm like, how is that going to get like in front of the like scooch in, like come this way? I was like, I stacked boxes so he could stand on top of it and take a pic, like right there. And they just kept standing there. And we really showed off our PE degrees at that moment.
Family, guys, huddle up. We
Get
figured
in
it out,
tight.
though. We figured it
We
out.
did.
That's all that matters.
We did. Yeah, that was when was the picture? The picture was right before lunch too. I figured they'd want to get the picture quicker so they could go
So they
eat,
can
but
get to the.
they were
Hey,
unfazed.
barbecue was
They
amazing.
were unfazed.
Barbecue was great.
Yes. Yeah. What was that? What was it called again? Do you remember?
I don't, but I'm gonna find out. Barbecue was amazing.
Yeah, it was right. It was very close to Mooresville. He said it was just like the high school. It was just a few minutes away. I wish we could give him a shout out because it was really freaking good.
We'll get that
It
on the
smelled
next
good.
episode.
Yeah, we'll get that. We'll get that figured out. But then after the trivia, right?
Yeah.
We went into our last presentation, which was Kate's. And I'm telling you, I know. So I know from personal conversations with him. Like I think he wanted to be a what was it like a different major in school, like where it started off like a reporter or something like that. Not exactly a reporter, but he wanted to be like a broadcaster and stuff.
Mm.
So I mean, you can tell with his presentation style, he
Yeah.
likes he
He
likes talking. He likes.
just meeting him, like, and just sitting and
Mhm,
talking to him, the few conversations I did have with him, I never would have guessed that about him as a presenter. Like the the energy he brought, how dynamic he was,
mhm,
his that he's got a unique ability to, at least in that setting, he was able to, it felt like, engage one on one an entire room of coaches, right? Like
mhm.
he understood his content. He'd take a peek at the slide. All right, here's what's up there. All right, look. oh, I can see this caught your attention. I'm looking dead at you, and this is how it applies to you specifically, right? And I was
Hmm.
locked in with Cates, man. I mean, he his presentation and his presentation was on speed. The way that the Penn way, right? The way they do things there up at Penn in
Hmm.
terms of their speed training, large scale speed training. And again, I found myself, I'm like, okay, another presenter who, I've got 5 44-minute blocks with these kids throughout the week, right? Um, Cates is in a different setting. He's got a little bit more extended time with them on a block schedule rather than traditional. But I'm like, okay, I can steal this piece, I can take this piece, I can steal this piece, I can take this piece. I can the way he ranks, records, and publishes all the data for all the years is crazy. Um,
Hmm.
and he even said he stole some of that from God bless Adam Vogel, um, out
Hmm.
of Illinois. Um, and
Yep.
it's crazy because I remember hearing Vogel speak at a NatCon years back, and I was like, oh yeah, he did touch on that, and he said, and when I see the similarities between Vogel, what Vogel does and what Cates does, I mean, it makes sense why you know Cates is the why Penn's 4x1 team is what it was. It makes sense why they've got the depth that they do in terms of athleticism. I mean, what he's doing is insane.
Hmm. And he doesn't. What's always great about Coach Cates when he talks, he doesn't like you would think he would bolster about himself, but he doesn't.
Right.
He when he talks about Penn, he talks about Penn. He talks about his co-coaches, like the data stuff. He gives a shout out to his co-coach that does it all. And he even made the joke. He's like, this all looks great. I'm locked out of it. I don't remember the
Mhm.
co-coach's name, but he was like, he locks me out of my own data because he doesn't want me messing up any of the stuff.
Yeah.
So he's like, I need
Yeah.
it. And I guess the guy teaches math or something too. And gosh, what does he say when he calls him? Something about strength first. Yeah, strength
Yeah.
first. Strength first. Like you might be teaching calculus. Strength first. We deal with this.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was pretty cool that how he always you know, I don't know if pays it forward is the right word, but he always gives credit to everyone that he's kind of working with. And they got a really awesome situation there and that they are so supported. They do have so many different folks that are in on the Penn way, right? The Penn way of doing things, the way that he has structured it to where you look at it, you're like, man, he'll even talk about it. Hey, I've got three different rooms.
Yeah.
We've got all this going on. Um, but I've got these people in this spot. I've got myself here. We got this going on over here. And he's showing how to organize it and how to keep it going. It's like, yeah, I did just get a couple shred mills. Okay, great. Um, but we were running this before we got shred mills.
Yeah.
It's not that we got the shred mill and now we're fast. We were already fast. We do this as something, and he shows how he's incorporating it into his veterans. Is that what he calls them? Veterans?
Yeah.
He's got rookies and veterans. Yeah, yeah. So like in his veterans, the rookies aren't on that, right? So like how he's using all this different stuff. So really, really good. Then we had our raffle, our little giveaway after that. Just actually worked out pretty well. We went with a random number generator, and the first number we generated, the person was still there. Boom, done. I was really worried about that. Not gonna lie.
Coach walked out with a TV. Love it.
Yep, yep. So, and then we hung out a little bit more. Went to a little social area, and Jim brought something up when we were hanging out there that like kind of want your feedback on because he said seemed like it was like a lot different crowd, like in the at the clinic that typically we see a lot of familiar faces. And he was talking about there was a lot of younger coaches or students there. And I looked at the registry, and there were a lot of student memberships there as well. But we were getting a lot of the younger crowd, which I guess would be your crowd, DeMarco, like the takeover, and that's what I told the gym. I was sitting there like, dude, we've been in this organization for almost 10 years, bro. Like, we are the older guys now. Like it's weird because we were the ones that were like didn't know anyone, and now we're in the room and it's like, okay, we know our people, and it's like, well, I don't know some of you folks. So
You
that's when I
know,
went up. The ones that I didn't recognize, I saw them in line like standing for food. I was like, hey, what's your name? Where like you see the logo. I think I was the only one in there without a logo on, by the way. But you see the logo, and you can ask them like, hey, so are you a coach? Because there was I think her name was Brittany, because I know Tiffany just made a post um about, there's only like 7%, like that, just the low percentages of female strength coaches. And
yeah,
so it's easy to spot them in the room because there are less.
yeah,
And I mean, it's something that I'm hoping one day Phoenix is coaching with me. I just think it'd be cool. And then maybe even Ember too. Like it would just be neat.
yeah.
But I noticed that, I went up, talked to her, and I was like, "So, what are you?" Because she was wearing Jasper. There was two different people there from Jasper, and she like helps out in the room and stuff. And then, so we got into the conversation of like, "Oh, okay. So, what all do you do?" And she was like, "Well, I'm not. I don't have my certification yet, but I'm working on the one that the association provides." And I was like,
Yeah.
"That's awesome. How do you like it?" Was a little over halfway through, really enjoying it. I'm like, that's awesome. And then went and started talking to some more other folks, but it was neat to see some of those folks that I didn't recognize. It's always great to see the ones that I do. That's as
Sure.
we all do as humans. We go up to the people that we know and we catch up and we talk. Um, but there was a few different people that I've emailed or have emailed me that I've talked with, like Coy.
Quite
That's trying to
interesting.
get
Yep.
back into it. Yep, that's he's a serviceman and wanting to get back into doing this stuff. And it's just like, yeah, this is cool. You go and you talk to these folks. But I did notice, like after Jim said it, it didn't register the whole time we were there. Did not register in my brain how many younger coaches we had in the room until he said it when we were hanging out afterwards. And it, like, as I'm reflecting, I'm like, yeah, he's not wrong. He's
Well,
not wrong.
one I'll give two that really caught me. I had a former student of mine, Zaven Slayback. He graduated under me last year. He's currently at IU studying to be a strength coach. He showed up, said he took away quite a few things, and but I've just been kind of watching his growth over the last year or two because it was his first semester of his senior year. Second semester of his senior year really was when he started sitting in with me in the weight room and just kind of observing and seeing how things go, picking up some notes out of the textbook, this, that, and the third. But this is now his second state clinic. So I mean, and the kid's a college freshman, like that's awesome, right?
Hmm.
Um, then Nate Burke. And blessed, I'm drawing a blank on where he's coaching at now. But this time last year, at the state clinic, he was just trying to he was really just trying to piece it together. How do I go about getting that first job? I feel like I've interviewed. I feel like, I've done some things. I've taken some professional steps that I should, but the moment just hasn't come for me yet. It hasn't popped for me yet. And he's off and running in his first gig now, and he said he's loving it. So, to see him back around this year, um, that was really great, right?
Is that the cat that was is
He
that the
got
cat
yep,
that was talking to us during the podcast
yep, hmm
last year?
yep, and he came out with us.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So
Yep.
he so and I mean even we were talking about the presenters and the things that he was able to pick up on and the things that he felt like he was able to implement. I'm like, this stuff, it was the clinic was a success in regards to the fact that there were so many things that 80 coaches could take away and readily put in their rooms, this like, the
Hmm.
following training day, right? Um, And when you talk about the majority of those coaches, I didn't do the numbers on it, but it looked like a good amount of those coaches, like you said, were younger coaches. Like this is what it educate, equip, empower, right? Like this is what it
Hmm.
looks like. We had a bunch of young coaches in that room where, there were some coaches who might have heard a lot of the same rhetoric before, but I hope they were able to pick up something new, or I hope they were able to reaffirm some things. And I talked with some of those coaches and they were able to. But there were a ton of young coaches in that room who probably never heard the majority of all of that. And they walked out getting more than their money's worth for registration, right? Like that to
Right.
me is what it's about. And I think we
Hmm.
accomplished that goal in more ways than one.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like I said, I think I was really pleased with it. I know that it's technically not our first rodeo together as the new admin of the state with, Avon Family Day. I felt we were pretty darn successful with that. Um, but as I kept reflecting, and we talked about it, I was like, as far as the lineup, how smooth everything ran, there was really no hiccups. Like to
Yeah.
me, reflecting on each year and just as they ebb and flow and the fact that we've been at all of them, I'm like top to bottom quality wise, I was like, man, this was probably one of the best ones we've had, period, bar none. Like it was good. The only technical hiccup was we didn't record it. I don't think I told you that.
Yeah.
But we didn't
So
we didn't get the package. And then I just didn't even, as I was checking with, hey, did we get everything? It just that wasn't on the forefront of my brain. My brain was, let's make sure we got like all the other logistics. And then once they said, hey, this package didn't get here, I was like, okay. And then I just kind of moved on. So, um, it is what it is.
yeah, you just got to buy the ticket next year and come out and actually see the thing, right? Like at the
Right.
same time, though, right? Like for the 80 individuals that were in the room, right? That's
Hmm.
what we said we offered. I feel like we over delivered. Um,
Hmm.
so and then we're already looking at next year's clinic and some different tweaks and things we want to make, some things we feel like we can do to make it better. Um,
Hmm.
not gonna spill all the beans here, but it's it is really cool to see us be able to like, dude, however many years ago, right? Your
Hmm.
first initial proceedings with the NHSSCA, somebody taps you and says, you're going to be running the show, you're going to be leading the show for the state of Indiana, right? And you're going to do a heck of a job at it, right?
Then
And
nobody said it to me.
you like, you know,
I just took it.
and you're gonna tap this other guy on the shoulder, and you're gonna
Right.
make sure that he knows what's going on here at some point, and
Hey, I've been getting you ready the whole rip because we know how we never know what's going on with me. So I'm like, DeMarco, you just gotta be ready. You're like, well, get through at least one of them. I'm like, I can get
hey,
you one.
I
Now
will
I've made
say,
two. I'm
I
over
will
delivering.
say, it's
I'm over delivering.
I will say, 6 a.m. You get there, you get to Mooresville. I think I got there like 7 or whatever. You hadn't gotten there. You were like
Hmm.
5 minutes behind because you had the 3 hour drive that you had, 3.5 hour drive to
Right.
be there, right?
Well, I
I
fell
call,
asleep. I fell asleep at one point. I had to go get me that Chick-fil-A
dude.
breakfast burrito. I'm still telling you,
I call
that's
you,
my clinic day food.
I call you, and you didn't answer, and I'm like, oh, I'm running this show today. This is crazy.
Oh, I should have done that. That would have been funny. I would have laughed.
Dude, no, it would not have been funny. I'd have been like, oh my god.
I might do that on the next one. Just like wait and hide in the bushes somewhere, and then like at 0 dark 30, just like jump out, and be like, "Hey, all right, I'm here.
I'm
You
like
ready?"
running the show throughout the day, like calling you, like, please come play. Let's go.
No, it should be cool. The only thing I was looking ahead, I think you and I are probably going to miss NatCon though. Isn't
Yeah.
that?
Did
I
you look at the
think when you
dates?
look at the dates,
Did you look at the
it's the
dates?
same as
It just
it's Raw
depends.
Nationals.
It depends on
It
the
depends
day.
on what
So,
day. I know, but then, dude, I've got you.
yeah.
I got Gracie, I got
Yeah.
Zoe, I got Zamara. So I've
Yeah.
got I've got a few that I'll be coaching down
Yeah.
there. So that'll
I,
be
I
that'll
swear
be
we
solid.
talked about that because I was like, that's what I was trying to make work. I was
I
trying to
don't
figure
think it
out. I was
ever
like,
I don't think it ever hit my brain. But then I was talking to someone else because I guess Georgia and Tennessee aren't terribly far away.
Right.
I don't know where is the clinic in Chattanooga because
It's like
that's
the
down,
clinics in
or I
Memphis.
think it's in Memphis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
clinics in Memphis. Nationals are in Atlanta, and it's like 6 hours. I want to say some apart.
Nope.
And
Nope.
yeah,
Nope.
yeah,
Nope.
yeah, yeah.
Like I know like if you've ever been through a powerlifting meet, like yeah, the athlete's spent, but I'm gonna tell you right now as the handler, like every time we've gotten done, I have always looked at you like I feel like I just did all that. Like I am cooked. Now that's typically because I average handling about 10 to 20 people per meet.
Yeah.
So that is just I'm done ski, but gosh, man, that one's going to be cool. I'm excited for that. We got Renegade coming up in April. We've got Spidey. If y'all remember Spidey, our loyal listeners, Spidey going for the world record on the 29th. You're coming up for that, right? In
That's gonna
Chicago.
be, yeah, I'm excited. I'll be spending a few days in Chicago at that point, but that'll be pretty cool to see.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we got some stuff in the works for sure. Yeah, it's gonna be good. Gonna be good. I don't know. I think we went way over your limit that Carmen gave you. Is she in the back yelling at you?
Love you, babe. Nah, I'm
You still
sorry.
haven't ate dinner yet, bro. Come on, man. You're trying to bulk up.
Hey,
We
man,
gotta do
look,
that. We gotta hit that 110 kilo.
I'm sitting at
Let
four
somebody
thousand
let
calories
somebody
right.
know they ain't ever getting a record.
I'm sitting down at 4,000 calories right now before dinner. So we're getting to 235 at least. We're getting 235.
Yeah, yeah. And then we'll just slowly bring it back down. Dontre's looking good too.
Hey,
Hey,
man,
his number,
did
he's
he send you
he's where he need to be.
did he send you the video of the Hatfield? It was like a
Hmm.
605 Hatfield. Ooh,
Yeah,
we.
because he was on it. He was on it. He was dude, you don't understand. He sends me the videos as he's lifting. So like and it normally always works out to where I'm home by the time he's lifting. Every once in a while I might be like with a client somewhere or something like that, and it's hard for me to watch. But if he's sending them and I can sit down and watch them, I'm just sitting there replying right away.
Yeah.
And so he sent me it and he had just done 545 and he was like, I think I'm going to throw some tens on it. I was like, go ahead. He hit I think 565. He's like, I think I'm going to do tens again. I was like, what's the goal? Like, l- just throw six on
Hey,
it and let's go
send
and
it.
call it a day.
Send
I
it.
was like, just throw the plates on it. You're either going to get it or you're not. But then we're going to be done. But then what that did was that saved him. If you think about total volume, that saved
Yeah.
him because he didn't have to do two more reps. It was like,
Yeah.
just make the jump, dude. Like
Yeah.
he started that off, by the way, too, because I knew dude. It's like I already know him. He's basically you. So you just got to like be like, all right, stop. Like, so I asked him before he even started, I was like, well, what's the goal? Said five something. I'm like, all right, cool. So he hit that pretty early in it. So I had to sit there and be like, okay, so what's the goal? And he
Yeah.
said his numbers he's doing. I was like, okay, go for six. I was like, just put another plate on. Let's go. And
Yeah.
I told him how to get it right to 600. He just, because it was going to be what, a quarter, a 10, a five, and a two and a half.
You
So I
said
sent
we
him
were
all
the
that. And I
same.
think he,
You said we were the same person. I'm like, if you tell me I got a low six, but 605 is just another 10, yeah.
yeah. So that's what he did. That's what he
Yeah.
did. I said, it's a quarter, it's a 10, a five, and a two and a half. Loaded on, it's 600. And then he sent me the video back. And I'm looking, I'm like, ah, dang it, DeMarco Jr. Like,
Yeah.
it's just 5 pounds.
Yeah. Shout out DT.
Nah.
Proud
So
of you, bud.
yeah. So he hit that. And, dude, he's on stage in 3 weeks.
Three or four, three. April 12th.
Three.
April 12th.
Okay.
So yeah, about
Okay.
three. Yeah, about three. Yeah, he's gonna look good, dude.
Yeah.
He's gonna look good.
Yeah. Did you see his picture today? He took one of those, like a teenager, took one of those bathroom selfies with the shirt off.
Hey, that's my dog. That's my dog.
Hey, hey, he's looking jacked, bro.
Hey,
He's
and he
looking
is, and
jacked.
like I can't deny it. I'm like, yeah, he's full send.
Right,
He is full send.
right, right. He's gonna outbench you too. I'm gonna
I,
laugh.
hey, Oh, it wasn't good. He can get the
And now
350
that,
bench off.
hey, now that I hooked him up with that sumo though, I'm just saying his sumo's looking clean. Have you seen it?
I have. He's and
Once we
he
video
texted me.
analyzed it and
He
mm,
texted me, told me he's feeling more comfortable with it. He's gonna surprise himself in the dead. He's gonna surprise himself in the dead. He's gonna get to that third attempt, pull it. It's gonna go great, and he's gonna wonder why he didn't load another 10, 20 keys on like we do every meet. But
mhm,
I mean, he's got goals in his mind, and he's gonna crush those. I'm not worried about that for him.
yeah, he's got he's got quite a few competitors he's going up against too. Did you see that? You
Yeah,
get on lifting cast and look at the
his
North Carolina one.
his
It's
class is
kind of loaded
no
out.
his class has some dudes in it. His class has some
Yeah,
dudes in it. They got a
it's not a
couple.
walk on the park.
They got a couple floating either up or up above or just around 500 dots.
Hmm.
They got some dudes in there.
Yeah, because he was acting like it wasn't going to be a big deal to win it, and like I guess last year, like it didn't. And so I'm
Yeah.
sitting here looking at the people. I'm like, there's some like okay, like we're going to see what we get to because now he's worried about his dot score and stuff. I'm like, just make the weight class. Like I'm
Just
not worried about the dots.
make
Fucking
the
or
weight class and
dang,
lift the weight. That's all that matters.
right? DeMarco Jr. worried about dots. Like
Hey,
just make the weight class, lift
hey,
the weights, and be done.
it, it was personal. It was personal. Every time if I come to
Right.
talk to you about dots, I got somebody in mind. Just know that.
I know.
I gotta go
I
get them.
know. Hmm. Well, speaking of gotten to go, that's a good way to end it. We'll end it with that. But if this app worked, hopefully we didn't just randomly talk for an. Actually, this would be the shortest FaceTime you and I have had, by the way. Normally we go about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah.
So,
This was
so if
efficient.
this works, yeah, if this works and I can do it from my phone and it sounds good and we can upload it, great. Now I just got to hit this end button and figure out how to upload it. So we will definitely be doing more of these if we can do it like this. Much, much easier. And we'll keep this podcast alive and well with caffeinated coaches.
Mm-hmm. See, I've